Yeah. Happy Easter.
Oh my God!
Alright, I just got done eating probably like 4 pounds of mashed potatoes. I mean, that's what it feels like. And I don't want to do anything except take a nap right now, but I'm incapable of napping, so I'm going to try to figure out what's going on with this little turd right here. If you saw the last video, you know that Goldie Hawn was putting up a little bit of a fight on track day, so we just left her home. And instead, that worked out great. Instead, we just took Jack Black, and he did, honestly, his best yet. Super, super proud of the truck. We made huge progress with it. I was looking over his old time slips last night, and he started off at like a 17.4, and then we got a 16.7 and a 16.4, I think. And then the last run with the EFI a couple weeks ago, he ran a 15.6. I think it was a 15.6. And then in the last video, we got 2 runs. The first one off the trailer, not changing anything after putting the carb on it. He went 14.6 at 93. And that was me like missing second basically with a 2.3 60 foot, which is pretty decent for us. That's good for us. And then I went right back into the lanes and let him make a pass because I wanted both of us to drive. And while we were sitting there waiting for some of the other cars to go, I bumped the timing up a couple degrees. And I don't know if it was that made the difference or him not missing second, but it went 13.95 at 97. Which is by far its best. So we shaved almost 4 seconds off the truck since we got it. And I know that a 13.9 isn't actually that fast, but when you put this much time and effort into something, that feels like a huge win to us. Anyway, on that run, it went 2.1 to the 60 foot, and I think that's just because we launched differently, both trying different things so we could kind of figure out what works for the truck and what doesn't. What I did was I tried to foot brake it on the converter a little bit just to see how it would do. And it went 2.3 like I said. And what he did was he just sat on the line and flashed it up real quick. Instead of like trying to get on the converter, he just sat there at idle, and when it was time to go, he just mashed the gas real quick. And he said he's pretty sure it went up to 3,000, so that's not too terrible really. And this thing should be much more capable than a 97 in the quarter, so we're kind of thinking that the carb is acting a little bit of like a restrictor plate. So we're trying to find like a Holley 750 or something like that. Actually, Dick Ham thinks he has a buddy with one just laying around, so he's going to ask him, see what he'd want for it, and then if that works out, ship it up here. If not, I'll probably just try and find one on Facebook or something. And then I've got a fuel cell figured out. I just have to either go get it or convince him to bring it out to me. But he lives over in Clarkston, so it's a little bit of a drive. And then I think going to like a 275/60 15 might help with the 60 foot a little bit, just because there's a whole lot less rollout. Because these are damn near 30 inches tall. I think they're like 29.5 or something like that. And a 275/60 I think is like 28, give or take. So that might help with the 60 foot a little bit too. Anyway, enough about that. Let's try to figure out what's going on with Goldie Hawn so that hopefully this next weekend we can take her to the track too. I think it's just, hey Duke, I think it's just, I'm really hoping that like a fuel pump came unplugged in the tank or something. Because like I said in the last video, I checked all the wiring. We have power, like the main battery power to the relay. We have the switched wire because I ran a new one to the relay, and we have power out of it. So I know that there's power going to the tank, I just don't know what's happening in the tank itself. So whether it came unplugged, shorted out, or the pump failed, we have to remove the bed and see what's going on in there.
Boy, it's nice having a ladder in the way all the time.
I thought it would be a nice addition.
this go to?
That's the switched wire that I cut and ran a new one.
Oh.
Nice. Everything looks intact there.
Huh.
No. There's the fire. A little bit. Sparks and fuel, huh? So the pump works. I guess let's try it through this plug again.
Shows red and black is the top one, and red's the opposite side.
So like this corner and then that one? I don't know.
So let's try.
Yeah, you might want to defray it a little bit. I mean, I think it's in this thing somewhere.
So why?
Was it too much current and it just kind of... I don't see where it shorted anything out though. I was gonna say, I wonder if I should just get another whole new sending unit. I mean, that one is probably like 20 years old now.
Same thing we did on that other vehicle. Drill a small hole, run the wires up through there and goop it so it's sealed. And this hook on the other side of the plug.
You mean that vehicle? that one right over there?
Yeah, that one right over there.
That one right over there?
Yeah. Or you can call and see how much they want for another one.
I mean, I wouldn't
I
doubt...
doubt if they're going to sell it without a motor in it.
No, I'll probably have to buy the whole assembly, I would think. And I wouldn't doubt it'd be close to 200 bucks.
Ooh.
Man, you know what really sucks about this?
Yeah,
That...
we just put that in that long ago.
No, because I was worried that the pump was trash. So I'm happy about that. The thing that pisses me off is, you know that wiring is one of my biggest pet peeves, and I just cut up a stock trigger wire to it and ran a new jumper piece of shit. That's what pisses me off. I mean, I left enough that I can rehook it up. It just... I'm curious to see how much a new one is, because if I got a new one, I could do this bottom piece even better. Because, like, all I really need is just, like, a hole for this pickup to come out. But if it's a ton of money, then we'll just run a wire through this. So I think that means you decided for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, 150 was a little more than I wanted to spend anyway. We will just run those wires to the other side of that plug there and hook into the power and ground, which the power should be this one, and then the ground will be a different one. We could honestly just run a ground wire to anywhere on the frame. It doesn't really matter for that. But again, I'm just really happy that it's not the brand new fuel pump or the wiring itself that I redid. So it's not actually my fault. It's just mechanical failure. So we'll finish that up, get it all thrown back together, and, well, obviously we'll test it before we put the bed and stuff back on. But we're gonna get back to work on this real quick. And while we're waiting for this to dry, I wanna show you guys this. Now this isn't ours, this is our neighbor's, well, his neighbor's. It's a 62 or 3 Dodge Dart. I don't know how much he picked it up for, but the thing has a pretty neat little straight 6 in it. It's not perfect, but the thing's really good. The underside has very, very, very light surface rust, but the thing is super solid, especially for over 50 years old now. And we were curious about how well the paint would clean up, so we polished the hood a little bit, and you can see some pretty decent reflection there. I'll be honest, I can't see my screen at all because of the sun, but the thing's pretty good. And then there we go, just straight 6. Just replaced the master cylinder, have to get it up on the hoist and bleed the brakes. There was an issue, the throttle linkage is kind of jerry-rigged, so like before, when you press the pedal down in there, it would pull on this rod and this thing would basically just like flop around because there's like no bushing there. and the previous owner rigged up some like cable here for whatever reason, because I believe there's supposed to be like some sort of linkage that goes off that to the throttle cable here. But now it's all working. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but you know, sometimes that doesn't matter. Sometimes all that matters is just getting this old iron back on the road. So basically, as soon as we get my truck done and running and back off the lift, we're gonna move this thing back in and get back to work on this. It needs a new fuel tank, which should show up, let's see, today's Sunday, should show up I think Tuesday.
See if it'll start.
It's alive!
Fuel pump is working. What do you have to say about that?
The only part that failed was literally the only part that we didn't change on it. It's just like 7 inches of wiring, not even, and one little plug. So now the entire wiring for the fuel system, well, I guess aside from the main trigger wire, is all brand new. And oddly enough, it works. So
Yeah.
drop the bed and bolt it back on and move this bitch out of here.
Yeah. Don't feel bad, baby. You can do it too. You almost made Jack Black jealous.
I just had to reassert a little dominance.
And Jack Black got so nervous, I think I heard an oil drip on the ground.
Forgot about the plate already. Oh man. There we go. That's progress. Now we can move the dart back in. You guys might see that in the next video, but this one's definitely over. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.